Hi, you got the captain, Captain Fuzzy here, and I was contacted on the Source Filmmaker message boards by a user wanting to learn a little bit about how to do some basic scene building. So I decided to do this guide to just kind of give you a basic idea of how you can build the scene using prefab props. Now, first things first, I'm going to base this on some props that are on the workshop, the alien derelict ship props. I highly recommend that you use the map Black Void. It is in your TF folder in Source Filmmaker. It's not on the workshop because it comes default with Source Filmmaker. So you can really use any map you want, but use a big one. And since Dark Void has no lights in it, it's loaded right here as you can see, and it's completely black. But we can fix that. We'll just disable the lighting. So now I'm in this black void and it's now lit. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to do a scene build similar to a poster that I posted on my artwork and on the SFM artwork of the space jockey from Alien, his chamber. So let's get started. Let's spawn in a new model. And in my case, I got these from Gary's Mod and then ported them into SFM, so mine are all installed in my Gary's Mod folder. So here they are. Here's the bits and pieces. There's some to build hallways and things like that, but I'm not going to be concerned with the hallways and everything like that right now. I need this wall right here. So I'm going to go ahead and spawn that in. And let's see. Oh, there it is. It spawned outside the wall. Well, let's just default it, and that'll drag it in here. And it's up on the ceiling. Well, that's no problem. If it's up on the ceiling, switch to this manipulator. Click and hold on the square, then push the shift button and move it a little bit. And it was supposed to drag it to the floor, but it did not. So let's drag it back. Where did it go? Okay, I seem to be having a little issue here, so let's get this puppy back in here and do this the hard way. Normally it'll snap to the floor if you do that, but apparently this thing's deciding to be a pain, so let's try it this way. Nope, it's still not going to do it for me. Okay. Well, screw it. We'll do it the hard way. Sometimes you just have to do this. So I'm going to drag this puppy down here near the floor. This model is huge, by the way, as you can see there. Let me raise up a little bit so if I can get to my red arrow here. I get to that one right there. There we go. Now let's drag this beast over here. Let me try this again just one last time just to see. Yep, there it goes. Now it snapped to the floor. Okay, let's back it right up behind the camera here so the camera's in the shot. And we don't have to fool around with that. We can move it around later. I don't want to get it outside the map, so I want to get over here and check this just to make sure it's not outside the map. Okay, it's not. Okay, I can slide it back just a little bit. Alright, now this is the same wall piece to build that round chamber in the image, and of course at the end I'll show you everything I did here. But in the meantime, we don't need to keep respawning this wall section over and over again because there's only one. You just need to assemble it. So what we need to do is just copy it, and then we'll paste one in. And now we have another one. So then we're going to drag this one out. And let's see here. I need to hit control and see. Okay, these are the transforms for it. I should be able to lock those together and get them to line up. Actually, I think I did that backwards. I need to lock this one to this one. Okay, now I should be able to zero. Nope, they're not going to zero. Okay, let me try to default it. Nope, they're not going to default to it either. Okay, this is not going to work. So I need to undo that. Let's try with... This is the first time I've actually tried to do this. I just positioned them manually. And as a result, it took a lot longer to do. So let me try that. Nope, that's not going to have any effect on it either. Nope, that just zeroes it to that one. And that just zeroes it to the ceiling. Okay, so in some cases like this, you're going to have this problem where stuff doesn't exactly lock together the way it should. So then you just have to position it. So we're just going to go ahead and do this the manual way. So I've got this one selected and I need it to match up with that one. So what I need to do is put it into this mode and turn it so that they start to line up. And grab it and drag it in here. Of course, this is going to be a little bit of a pain to get it lined up, but we will just keep working at it until we get it close. That's the best way to do it, is just try to get it close. When you've got it kind of close to where it should be, then what you can do is go in here to the rotation, and where I'm at like 65 degrees, let's try about 60 and see what happens. It's a little bit better, but I don't know if that's quite what I'm looking for. It's because these need to kind of just butt up against one another. Actually, that might be just about perfect, because you want them to butt up like that. So yeah, you want to rotate them about 60 degrees. Now, let me make sure that these are lined up correctly. That means I got to get down here kind of close. And I need to back him off just a hair. So we'll just... Basically, if you can get these little ribs in here to line up, that's really what you want to do, is get those ribs to line up. Once they line up, it all pretty much looks good. There's ways to eyeball it in, as you can see, and get it to where it looks like a solid wall. So now, once you've done that, then we're just going to click this one, copy this one, paste it again. Now there's a reason I'm doing it this way. It's so you don't have to keep dragging the copy from over here. I could drag off the existing copy and just keep going around with it, rather than having to have to keep dragging it so dang far. Okay, now I'm going to go into the rotation. That was at 60. Now let's try about 80 on this one. It's not quite enough. So let's try about 90. We're getting a little bit closer. So we're going to have to go a little bit further. So let's drag it a little more like that. Let's see where our rotation is now. It's about 125. Let's try about 130. Set that, and now let's drag this puppy over here and see if it'll line up. Now we need to move our work camera again. Okay, 130 was a bit much. That's not a problem. You can make adjustments here. Let's go about 125. Nope, not quite enough. So let's try 120. That's pretty close. Now, let's do the same thing we did last time. Let's get them kind of close together there. Let me zip over here. And again, we'll line up our little splits, our little ridges there, so that they all match up. Look at it. It's a little too close. I need to move it out just a little bit. So let's move it this way just a hair. I mean, you want them just touching, like so. That way it lines up the best. Makes nice even walls. So at that point we have a chamber that's about half built with just those sections right there. Now here's where it starts getting easier. This is a circular chamber. So let's copy, well, first let's enter, let's confirm that. Now let's select all of these. Whoops, I clicked in the wrong place. Select all of them, right click, copy, paste. Now let's select all of these and let's grab them and rotate them 90 degrees. Okay, now we're just slightly off, so what we do is just rotate it back a little bit. Too much. There, that ought to be about right. And look, we have our alien chamber here. And if we switch to the back to the regular camera, I'm going to confirm it. The camera's sitting here. Now let's kind of, we're not going to worry about the camera for right now, but let's work cameras in there. Now, you've got your completed circular room that the jockey sits in. So now the next piece we need is we need to spawn in the disc that he sits on. So we'll go back in here and we'll find the disc simplified. That's it. We'll open that up and we're going to need to position that. So let's just grab that puppy, slide it over here someplace, and let me lower my camera a little bit. Whoop. I'm up too high. Now the disc is just a little on the small side, but that's okay. We're going to pop him to the floor, click, hold, push, shift, and then move it. And then once we get it on the floor, then we can zoom up here a little bit and center this puppy. So we'll just grab him with this. We'll kind of center him up in the middle here a little bit, kind of eyeball it. You'll probably have to readjust it a little bit afterwards, but now we're going to have to scale this because as you can see it's a little on the small side. I don't know why the rest of the room was so big and this model was a little bit smaller, but that's not a problem. We can fix that. We're going to open this puppy up, and I don't know what these all are, but anyway, we're just going to add a scale control to the root transform, and we're going to grab it and drag it until it basically fills in the hole. We don't want to make it too big, but we do want to make it big enough that it fills in the hole. Okay, now let's click here. We're going to need to move him just a little bit. He's not quite centered. We may actually have to make him just a little bit bigger. So let's click on that, and you can double click on here and see I'm at 1.34 blah blah blah. Let's jump him up to 1.4, make him a little bit bigger. That'll kind of fill in the gaps a little bit. I mean, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but you don't really want holes showing through on it, and you want to try and get it as centered as possible. So if I get up above it here, I've got a little, it's off by just a little, so let's just grab this and move it just a little bit like so. That ought to be pretty good right there. I don't think there'll be any gaps showing through now. I don't see any. Okay, yeah, we've got that centered up pretty good. Alright, so let's zip back down here. And that's looking pretty good here. I don't see anything that's really sticking out anywhere. Alright, so we're good. We've got that set up. So now here's our alien chamber here. And let's hit enter, confirm that. And we need one more model to finish off the room. We need the jockey himself. So let's scroll down here. Here's the space jockey at the bottom. Let's open him up. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try it. Let's try a default. Nope, it's going to run him off. So never mind, we're going to have to position him by hand. So let's move him over here about where he's supposed to be. And we'll click on this manipulator, click hold, press shift and move, and there we go. Now you just kind of want to try and center him up on this as best as possible, and the best way to do that is to fly your camera up above him and then turn and look straight down at him. Zoom in a little bit if you have to, and just kind of look and see where he's positioned. Does he look like he's in the center of the circle? No, he does not. So let's just grab this and scoot him around a little bit until he looks like he's roughly sitting in the center of the circle, like so. Enter. Now, if we switch to our scene camera now, he's sitting there and he's in his spot. Okay. We're not going to worry about the scene camera just yet. We're just setting the scene up. Now we're going to need something else to do this. We're going to need to light this. Because if you right click and hit enable lighting, that's interesting. I enabled lighting and he's... Am I sticking through a wall here someplace? Yep, I bet I am. Okay. Here's what we're going to have to do. We'll just move this. That's the bad thing about dark void. If anything sticks through it, the wall the least little bit, it will screw up your lighting. So, let's move him more in the middle of the room here. Okay. Now, we zoom back in here. Let's try this again. Enable lighting. Why is he... Why am I... there it goes. Now we are in the dark. I got the light back on. One of those neat little glitches you have to deal with in Source Filmmaker. Alright, so let's disable the light. Now we're back. Okay. Now, what we're going to need to do is create a light. So, we need to make a new light. I'll move it up here under the cameras. It's just an organization thing with me, but that's what I like to do. Now, the best way to position this light is click on it, drag it over here, and there you go. I've got my light. I am the light. And for this one, I'm just going to put the light directly over top of him, shining straight down, kind of illuminating the chamber a little bit. And then I'm going to change back to my camera. Now I'm going to need to go to my actual scene camera and move it into position. So I'm going to move it in here just inside the walls a little bit. Let's go into the lenses. I like to start off normally with 35 millimeter, which it's already set to that. And now let's enable the lighting. Grab this, move it off, move it back. Boom. Why do I have no camera? My camera just disappeared. I have no cameras. For some reason. Oh, I was out of the scene. Dummy. Click that button right there. Okay. Now, let's enable the lighting. And we'll just click right here. Now, it's kind of dark. My light should be shining, but I don't see my light nowhere. Ah, there's the light. I may have put that up there just a little bit too high, but we're going to fix that. I am going to turn up the intensity on the light in an effort to get it to shine. And let's see here. I'm just going to put that there. Let's travel down here until the light shows up. It should. There we go. Okay. I just had the light a little bit high. Okay, we're going to increase the field of view. We're going to increase the vertical field of view. I'm going to raise the max distance so that it shines a little bit further. I'm also going to raise the far edge a little bit and the far Z attenuation. We're going to run that puppy up here pretty good. Now, radius, I've used it before, but it don't really seem to do a whole lot. So, I'll drop the max distance down. Okay. The far Z, we may have to raise that a little bit. Let's see here. Let's width. Okay, near edge. Just drop that off. I'm just kind of winging this a little bit, so because the lighting, lighting, you've more or less got to fiddle with it. With whatever it looks like it's going to work. Now this is not quite, I don't think this is quite going to cut, well actually, it might not be too bad. I mean, I'm not done with it yet. There's still stuff I'm going to do with it to show you how to get it. But let me switch to this camera. There we go. Alright, let me get over here. We've got the creepazoid here. Let's drop down a little bit. Back up just a little bit. Because we kind of just want to frame him up in here, make him look good. So let's back up just a little bit more. Kind of frame the shot a little bit. And then I'm going to leave my camera right about there. But yeah, we definitely got to have, the light's definitely got to have a wider range than what it's got here. So for that, we need to show in element viewer light. We're going to go in here and we're going to find this entry here, Uber light, and we're going to check it. That's going to add some settings. And now we're going to go back to the animation set editor and do a little bit of tweaking here. We are probably going to have to raise the far Z manually. See, it's 1. Yeah, it's as high as it'll go. So we're going to remap the slider range. Right now its max is 3,000. Let's up this to about 30,000. And let's drag it a little bit more and see what we get. Nope, it's not doing anything. Okay, well, then we're going to do the same thing up here. We're going to remap this. It's only at 120. Jesus Christ, that's low. Let's tack a couple of zeros onto that. And we're going to do the same with this one. Let's tack a couple of zeros on here too. And now let's widen that out a little bit. And let's widen that out a little bit. Intensity, we're going to remap that. It's only 1,000. Let's tack a couple of zeros onto that. Hit OK. Let's drag the intensity bar a little bit more this way. And we are still not getting the wide angle for the light that I'm wanting to get. So for some reason my SFM is being a bit of a pain in the butt. Here we go. Let's get some width and some height on it here. Edge width. Let's raise that a little. Let's raise that. Let's raise the edge height. And okay. Far edge. Let's remap this slider a little bit. Let's tack a couple of zeros in there. And see if we can't get this puppy to... There we go. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Okay, let's get it to where the lights... There we go. Now, we're probably going to have to drop the max distance a little bit. Yeah, that was too much. Yeah, see, that's too much. We can drop that down about half for right now. Now, let's try repositioning the light and see if that doesn't improve just a little bit. Because I had to drop it so low last time. And the intensity's pretty high. I did that so I could see it. Let's see here. Whoops, too far. There we go. And let's switch back to the work camera. Oh, yes, now it's much better. But you're sitting there, you're probably looking at this and going, wait a minute. That is way too bright. No problem, we're not done. Alright, let's go up here to the intensity and let's drop this intensity down. Let's bring that light down to where it's more or less barely illuminating the chamber. About that much. Well, let's see here. Let's drop this puppy down to about 8. There, 0.08. There we go. Now, I'll just click that. And we'll bring in the horizontal a little, the vertical and the horizontal. We'll shorten them. Yep, that's too much. Let's bring it down just a little bit. That's not gonna... Okay, we better leave that alone. Okay, the intensity still looks a little bit bright. Let's drop this down to about 0.06. Okay, that's starting to look a little bit better. But you're saying, that chamber didn't look like that in the movie. Nah, it had kind of a bluish tint to it. So let's drop the red to about here. Let's drop the green. Way too low. Okay, we don't want too much of a deep blue. You want more of a light blue. So let's readjust it here just a little bit. And just a little bit here. Want kind of a bluish tint in there. A little bit deeper blue than that. So let's bring her down just a little bit. About in there. Now the intensity still looks a little on the bright side. So let's drop the intensity a little bit further. Let's drop this to 0.4. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. Now it's not looking half bad. But it looks like there's still a little something. Listen, let's see here. Let's drop the far Z just a little bit more. Oops, that's too much. Okay. Let's try. Tweak it just a hair. Okay, we're down to 0.08. So, yeah, let's set it about 0.08. And we're getting there. We're getting there. Now, just to give it that little extra touch, that little extra kind of tweak, what we need to do is enable volumetrics. Now, until you get out of the shot, it's not going to show. So we need to click on that, and now the volumetrics are in place. So now we just drag this to kind of bring the volumetrics up a little bit, kind of give it that dusty kind of look to it. And that might be just a bit much right there. Okay, let's see here. Where are we at? 0.55. Let's put that about 0.5. Dead even. And now that's not looking half bad. We can put a little bit of noise strength on it to kind of tweak it in a little bit, kind of give it that foggy look. And that, yeah, that's looking pretty good right there too. Actually, I'll put that about 0.6. That should be about right. Now this is just in the, well, this is actually in camera 1, but we're not in the clip editor, so we really can't see what it looks like. So let's go into the clip editor and click on that, and see there. Now it's looking a lot better. I think the intensity is still a little bit high. Let's try dropping the ambient in it. Well, I can't do that here. Let's try dropping the ambient intensity just a little and see what that gets me. It doesn't seem to be doing a whole hell of a lot. Let's drop this to about 0.3. There we go. Okay, yeah, that's starting to look a little creepier. And let me drag the light in here and slightly reposition it. Let's back this puppy off just a little bit. And I may have backed it off a little too much. Let's drag it back in here. Okay. Yeah, I backed that off just a little bit too much. So let me grab this, pull him down some more. Because it doesn't really matter what you see up there, because you're not going to see that. Okay, now that's starting to look a little bit better. That's starting to look a little bit better. Maybe raise it just a hair. Alright, that's not looking too bad. That's not looking too bad at all right there. Now, let's see what it looks like. Okay, let's confirm that. We're in camera 1, so let's flick over here. Click on that. Not looking too shabby right there. Alright, one last thing we got to do is with the camera, the camera settings, now we're going to set our focal distance. Because we kind of want the background to blend in a little bit. So I'm going to run this out. You want to put this roughly in the middle of him. And 200's not quite enough. So let's raise this to about 2000. Add a little extra 0. Grab this, drag it back. Drag it back. Drag it back. Ah, there we go. We're getting a little too far. Right about in there-ish. Right about there. Now, confirm that. Now, let's go into here and see how that looks. Oh, now you got kind of a hazy background in there. We can put a little bit of aperture in it. Whoops, I gotta go out of here. Can't do nothing in the clip editor. Put a little bit of aperture. Let's bump that up to about 0.5 and see what that looks like. That puts a little more haze in it. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Now, that's basically how you build the chamber. Of course, then you can add your astronauts, stuff like that in there. And like I said, the light intensity for me, I think, is still just a little too high. I'm going to try dropping this down to about 2. Yeah, I like it to be kind of creepy looking. Let's drop it back over here. Click on that again. See, if you darken it up enough, then when you put other lights in it, then they stand out. But anyway, that's pretty much all there is to doing a scene build. You just eyeball it as best as you can. You get things in the positions that you want them in, and make it look what you pictured in your mind, and then make it look like that. Now, this is pretty much how I did the picture that I posted, and I will show the picture at the end of this video just so you can see what it looks like. And that's how you do a basic scene build. I'm the Captain, Captain Fuzzy, signing off.